Okay, hey everybody. This is Joshua. I'm going to talk about these. This is part 2 of my plants video. I wanted to talk about, continue talking about mycelium and the transfer of nutrients. So I'm going to do the best I can. I'm kind of stoned. My plant ally is, kind of done me in. I'm tired. It's been a long week. And, yeah. Anyway, so I just had this thought that just crossed my mind, and I just had to get it out there because I made a video, this same video earlier, and I erased it because I was just too tired, and I just couldn't even focus. But this idea that I had was kind of, okay, I was talking about how plants are basically the first line of food. They eat direct light. They eat sunlight. They don't eat it. They use sunlight to break down water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen, right? And they release the oxygen. And this is pretty fascinating. I'm pretty sure I got this right. Okay, the plants use photosynthesis, and they take these rays of energy from the sun and use it to blow up these molecules, right, of water, that they suck up this water so it meets this sunlight. And then it hits the water, releases the oxygen, fresh air, and then it uses the hydrogen as fuel to burn, to, I guess, make the plant live. Anyway, I can't remember exactly how it works, but the growth, somehow, it's amazing. I mean, all the things that a plant does, and when we just look at it, it seems, a plant, all the things that a plant does, the way it sucks up water and everything is fascinating. All the defenses it's formed, but I was thinking about the nutrients, because it sucks up water, and I thought, well, nutrients are not just a byproduct of water. Now, my question was kind of, does the plant suck up the water, and the nutrients are a byproduct, so it utilizes them, or to become a better plant, or, I mean, because obviously it needs water as a mechanism of, suction to transfer the nutrients. So it has to have water, and it has to have water to break down in order to grow. So without water, a plant dies, period. And there's no way around it. And don't quote me on that, but, well, that's probably true. I guess that's, even there's some that survive on just moisture, but from the air, but, they all need some form of water. So we have water as the source of life for everything. But plants, I don't know how humans utilize water. Probably, in a totally different way. Obviously, we're not expelling oxygen. We expel carbon dioxide, so we utilize water for the transfer of, to keep our blood fluid, to keep everything moving, and to transfer nutrients and things through our body. And for many other purposes. I'm not a body scientist, whatever. So the plant takes it and brings these nutrients into the leaves. Now, as a person who grows plants, I've always had gardens, and I know what happens when you forget to fertilize. And usually they're stunted, but if you're forgetting one particular part of the fertilizer, it'll grow, but it'll be lacking. Like if the bottom leaves are yellow, then it's usually lacking nitrogen. And that's because the growing shoots are, conserving the energy to the growing shoots and sucking out that extra, those nutrients in order to utilize for the upper portions of the plant. And like other deficiencies can cause spotting of the leaves. There's phosphorus, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Those are the three big ones. NPK. They've got the most fertilizers have those three, plus all the micronutrients. So I'm not sure if humans are the same, but there are many micronutrients that a plant needs. So I don't know, it just tripped me out to think that the point I'm getting to is that these plants are like factories, right? They're these little factories that suck nutrients up and utilize them. But also, that's as firsthand absorption. We absorb our nutrients through the plants. We depend upon the plants sucking nutrients up. Otherwise, we'd have to find a way to refine the nutrients out of the soil. And basically, humans would have to eat fertilizer. I mean, that's kind of what vitamins are, in a I mean, if you think about it, you know, I haven't really looked into this, but that's kind of an interesting thought. You know, vitamins are basically just human fertilizer. I've never been a big fan of vitamins. A lot of people swear by them. But my thought is that the body is designed to absorb food. And natural foods are the best foods. You know, I get by eating very little. And I feel healthy. I feel good. I sleep 6 to 7 hours a night. I always wake up feeling refreshed. And I'm still, you know, I smoke weed and use tobacco and you know, I'm not, you know, I don't take it easy on myself is what I'm saying. Drink coffee and everything else. So, but I'm pretty mellow about it. I mean, I don't abuse it, but these are the things that I utilize every day, and I'm always in good shape as far as I feel, the way I feel. And I think that's because of the foods that I eat. I try to eat the best things that I can when I eat. And so, like, what I'm getting at is the vitamins just don't, they take the soul out of the meal. They take the soul out of health. And I know that a human could live on nothing but vitamins, probably, but it's not advisable. I mean, you know, we're designed to eat food. We're designed to eat plants. We want to eat plants. Animals, I'm not even going to go there because I don't do the vegan thing. I'm not, you know, I believe a person, if they do eat meat, should at least be able to if they can't hunt, at least go fishing once. I don't think anybody who's a meat eater should be able to go their whole life eating meat without killing an animal, because it's a very humbling experience. And when you look into an animal's eye, it's completely, you know, I've never killed an animal, but I eat meat. But I have fished, and I've killed some big fish, and I feel bad, even though I know that fish are like, you know, they have just as much feeling as far as I'm concerned. You know, I mean, they want to do their thing. They're an entity, you know, and you have to pay your respects. And, you know, people hear about the Native Americans and the way they paid their respects to plants and animals when they had to take them. You know, it sounds silly to some people, but, like, that's just the most beautiful thing. You know, in my eyes, the research I've done on Native Americans, you know, in the past, that they have the most amazing history of respect for the earth. Yeah, there were plenty of disputes and battles, but most of it was peaceful nations and tribes that wanted to do what was right for everyone. You know, a very socialistic community, you know, and not, you know, they never prided themselves on material goods, even though there were plenty to be had. And that was one of the beauty. They loved the beads, you know, they loved the feathers, you know, everybody loves to be decorated. And that's kind of another aspect of it that I've been into with the plants. I've been really wanting to get into the idea that humans are like plants, in the sense that we can learn a lot from plants, is what I was thinking earlier. That's what I said in part one, that the way that humans behave, sometimes we have to ask ourselves, is it okay to do this? A lot of folks would have you believe that the most important thing to do is lose your ego and to become humble and to just stop trying to stand out. And a sensible person knows that that's just not what nature wants. Nature does not want zombies, even if they're zombies by choice. You know, like, I'm a pretty average, normal person, but I like to wear my feathers. And that's what I was saying. Certain plants love to look beautiful. Animals love to look beautiful, especially when they're attracting mates or during certain seasons. And I think that humans are no exception. And that's what we can learn from plants, is that we can flower every spring too, and wear all our nice clothes and do what we want and feel good about it, you know, and or look how we want anyway. And being, you know, embracing individualism, just like plants do, you know, just like animals do. Everything has an, I don't know, aspect to it that's just connected, you know, interconnected, everything. It's just awesome. So my parting thought, and the reason why I did this video, which became too long because I'm stoned, was what I was saying earlier about how I thought about the plants as little nutrient factories. They've condensed nutrients into them, and on top of it, they, as a byproduct, they produce oxygen. I mean, we know that. We all learned that in science class. But when you really, really look at it again, over and over and over, and then you get really down close with the plants and you start reading up on them and the things they do, you have to know everything about it. You have to have a wide view of plants and understand plants, because they will teach you. You don't have to read much about plants other than to identify them and know what you're doing. But if you're just out there learning, the plants will teach you. And you just have to be willing to ask. It's just like anything else. People say, oh, if you want to, if you want help from God, you just have to ask. Well, if you want help from the plants, you just have to ask. It's just another part of God, or whatever you want to call it. And plants are, the most important thing that we have on this planet, because without them, we would not be here. And so we got to really respect them. For those who think that it's all hocus pocus, talking to plants and stuff, it's not. There's scientific evidence to show that if you talk to plants, they will respond to your desires and to your intent. And this has been done over and over, and it's not just something that has to do with the vibrations of your voice, which is what some people thought, because they would do experiments where they would talk in a normal tone and say bad thoughts, and then to the other side they talk good thoughts. They did it on Mythbusters once, but you can't depend on that show. But I read some other reports about it, and some they've been doing it for hundreds of years. Many scientists have tried this, but some of the true, you'll never be able to prove whether it was true or not, but some of the supposedly good ones from the 1600s were, I think it was Descartes, but I can't remember exactly. But Descartes did this experiment with plants where he talked to them, and somebody came into a greenhouse or something and said, "Why are these ones so much bigger?" He said, "Those are the ones that I asked to grow." And I guess what they found out was it wasn't about just thinking about them or saying, "I love you, I love you." It was about saying, "Will you please grow?" and asking them to grow a certain way. And to me, that says immense amounts about the way life works. Because if that's true, that means that when we really want something, we have to have intent. And the world knows our intent. You can't go up and talk nice thoughts about a plant if you want it to die. Or should I say, you can't, well, I don't know if maybe you could make it die if you didn't want it to die. But I guess, the intent's behind what you do, everything you do. I have a friend who told me that he had to hurry home because he had to turn on his lights for his grow room. And I was like, haven't you ever heard of a timer? And he's like, I don't want no robo weed. And it was really funny because we had, I kind of had a debate with him about, about the idea that, if you don't make it home in time when you're growing weed, you can't, you could really mess up your bloom cycle. But he said, no, it's a dedication. I got to have the intent behind it. My plants have to know what I'm doing. I mean, this is a person who understands the intent. It takes it to a whole nother level, though, because for me, I had to have a timer when I did that shit. I couldn't rely on being there. But, people take it to extremes. Tribes would dance around plants, and dance around with plants in their hands. They highly revered, plants are our essence and need to be respected. I guess I should finish with this poem I was originally going to read. It's called Bring Them On, the Power Plants. All the palmate-leaved ones, the pinnate, and the pinniphyt. Sorry, I'll have to pronounce some of these. I've never heard of them. All of the palmate-leaved ones, the pinnate, and the pinniphyt, the entire rosy Hawaiian babies, wise Mazatec sages, and the old Indian rope trick. Come on, you indoles, you terpenes, you alkaloids, you medicine plants. Hello, star-eyed Beetlejuice plants, Amazonium vine plants, Chihuahuan cacti. Come, blue-eyed witch plants, come, you dung-loving fungis. Come on, O rueful Syrians, and you thick-smelling solanaceous plants, you cultivated in rose tobacco and coca plants, you maligned poppy plants and worshipped grapevine plants. All forgotten plants and fad plants, come forth, you motley troop. Not a gentleman among you, not one that won't lie, cheat, or swindle a ride. Come, all ye ruffians, be fruitful. We have need of poison. I thought that was awesome. I'd never read it. Yeah, I read the first part of it, but for those who don't know, this part, come on, you indoles, you terpenes, you alkaloids, you medicine plants. Indoles, terpenes, and alkaloids are different forms of, intoxicants. And they each have their own completely different, alkaloid, like, poppies are alkaloids. Terpenes are a completely different class, and indoles I'm not sure about, but there are a lot of classifications of plants, but drugs, when people talk about all the different plants that get you high, they all have their own classification, like groups, that are of a certain class, and there are a lot of alkaloids. And cannabis is different. It affects both receptors of the brain, both of the cannabinoid, the CV1 and the CV2, but they don't have. Some people think that people were meant to smoke pot because they have these receptors for it. I used to think that when I was a kid, but the truth is that the body produces natural cannabinoids, and they're used in regulating hormones. Not hormones in the sense that, like, people would usually think, but like fluctuations in whatever, appetite, mood, all kinds of things, but I'm not sure the specifics of what the natural cannabinoids do, but we know what marijuana does. We love it. We're at a crossroads in this world. A crossroads where we have information at our fingertips. We have books, we have websites like Arrowhead. I mean, if you haven't been to Arrowhead, and you use any drugs, I mean, that's the place to get all the information that you could possibly want. And I love that place. It's where you get. It's like the only time I've ever really made a donation to anything. I gave him like $50 one Christmas, But of course I got a T-shirt out of it, so I had vested interest. I had to donate enough to get something back. But, I really wanted to help, because I know that they've helped me to look at all these plants and the different things they do. And, the pharmacological aspect of it, it's... Plants are always deemed as these demonic things if they get you high. But my idea was, what is high? I mean, some people, I don't know. High is a state of mind, I guess. There are a lot of different highs. Inebriation is wide, and I thought I was going to find one more of these poems. Oh, there's so many. There's a lot. Weird things. Coriander, wormwood. There's all these like recipes in here. Kava kava. And kava kava is a totally different boat. That one's really mellow. It's much better than drinking alcohol, and it's the same kind of effect. You have to mix it with lecithin, emulsifier, and make an emulsion out of it, or else it's not effective. Unless you buy like instant kava. But there are a lot of plants to utilize, I'll tell you that. Cannabis is still my favorite, though. I guess I better just end this now, because it's getting too long. But I guess I won't find what I'm looking for. The medicine, man. It's all medicine in one way or another. So, if each person could just embrace the plants around them, every plant. You know, I'm not just talking about drugs either. I mean, I got off track there a little bit because I was talking about, you know, the nature of plants being alive and the fact that they're connected. Their root system is connected by the mycelium, by the structures of fungus. And these fruiting bodies of the fungus, they'll come out sometimes in what they call fairy rings. You may have heard that. They come out around trees at a certain perimeter, like oak trees that say 8 feet out or something, all the way around in a circle. That's because they have a mycorrhizal relationship with the root system, a symbiotic relationship where the plant is able to take in the sunlight and process that energy and send energies and sugars, carbohydrates down into the mushroom, and the mushroom, in exchange for the food, relays information like a neural network between the trees. So the trees could very well be a portion of the body of the earth, whereas the mushrooms would be the brain that are transferring that information down to the limbs, the individual limbs of each tree. Now, we know that the largest mushroom they know of, I believe, is in eastern Oregon, not too far from my hometown, and it's something like 40-something acres, I believe. That's a pretty damn big mushroom. Now, that's the whole mat of one cluster. I mean, there are multiple clusters, but this is one particular breed that they know that if there's a wildfire on one side, that it can react on the other side and say, oh, don't pop up, right? Don't fruit. And it's very interesting because you start thinking about that aspect of it, and it's like, okay, if they're thinking and they're really sending that kind of information, like, well, that's just crazy shit. That's all. I don't know what else to say. I kind of lost my train of thought because I'm stoned, honestly. I've always been fascinated with the idea that mushrooms are a brain in their own right, that they are a conscious entity that can, if we consume some of these mushrooms, they open a certain doorway. And psilocybin, which is the magic mushrooms, is a form of DMT. It's just a different form. And it's an amazing thing to consume. It's an amazing thing to behold. And it makes you really appreciate nature more. So it makes me think that maybe the mushroom's saying, hey, defend nature, love nature, you know. I've never met anybody who ate mushrooms, went out and started chopping down trees. But met a few drunk people who did. Peace.